Another aside, this movie has always and continues to make me want to serve on a jury, and I never have. I've only ever gotten 2 summons, and both times I just called and they were like, yeah, we don't need you. Now, they didn't even have me come in. I feel like nobody ever wants to be on a jury, and I'm someone who does, and I never get picked. Go figure.
It's probably for the best.
Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be continuing to rank all the Best Picture nominees ever. And we'll find out what the best movie for each year is and all time. And today, I'm starting a new year of Best Picture nominees. I'm ranking 12 Angry Men, the 1957 Best Picture nominee starring Henry Fonda, written by Reginald Rose, and directed by Sidney Lumet. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and won none. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, and of course, Best Picture. Now, if you're enjoying these rankings and want to find out what will be the best movie ever nominated for Best Picture, or even just the best of each year, please subscribe and or follow. Please put any of your questions, comments, or suggestions into the comments, or email the show directly, which there should be an email down below. You can let me know what year you'd like me to do next after 1957. Now, if you super duper like it, consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/TheRankPodcast, where you can get access to all the archived episodes back when this used to be 2 hosts. Now, as those of you who have followed The Rank for a while now, we've been ranking all of the Best Picture nominees going year by year, though the years have been at random. We just pick whichever one we felt like doing. Now, we've done 1927 and 28, the first Academy Awards ever, which I finished last week. We've also done 1947, 1973, 1998, 2004, 2007, 2015, 2023, and 2024.
That's a lot.
And according to The Rank, the Academy got it right in 1927, 1973, 2015, and 2023, which is a little below 50%, so not fantastic. Today, we start 1957. Will the Academy get this one right? Let's dive in, starting with the Potent Notables. Now, as always, we start the Potent Notables with the box office info. And according to a Variety article from January 8th, 1958, 12 Angry Men made $2 million in rentals worldwide. Now, as a reminder, rentals were essentially profits, so they had $337,000 budget, which I would assume would make the revenue around $2.5 million. But here's what I find interesting about the financials. I've seen where it said the film cost $3.5 million to make the movie. It's officially $337,000, but they may not include the purchase of the rights to the play. But even so, that doesn't account for $3 million. Additionally, Henry Fonda believed in the movie so much that he deferred his pay and never ended up getting paid for the movie because it didn't make any money. And yet it reported $2 million in rentals.
Something's not adding up.
I don't know where the truth of this lies, but it feels murky. Even though he didn't get paid, he still considered this to be one of the 3 best films he ever made. Now, Henry Fonda actually disliked watching himself on film, so he did not view the whole film in the screening room. However, before he walked out, he said quietly to director Sidney Lumet, "Sidney, it's magnificent." It was actually Sidney Lumet's feature directorial debuts. Henry Fonda personally asked Lumet to direct the movie adaptation, having been impressed with his work on the television show Studio One and the Alcoa Hour. Now, when first broadcast as a teleplay on Studio One on September 20th, 1954, the jurors were Norman Fell, John Beale, Francho Tone, Walter Abel, Lee Phillips, Bart Burns, Paul Hartman, Robert Cummings, Joseph Sweeney, Edward Arnold, George Voskovich, and Larkin Ford, credited as Will West or whatever. Sweeney and Voskovich were the only 2 actors to reprise their roles for the film. Now, Henry Fonda was asked by United Artists to make this film, so he did it as both actor and producer. He was, however, very frustrated at being a producer and decided never to do so again. Well, that doesn't sound like it was a good time. Juror number 7, Jack Warden, claims he made $27 grand last year selling marmalade. That's not bad. Just pointing this out, that would be the equivalent to over $300,000 in today's money. So yeah, that's not bad. Selling marmalade and making $300,000 a year, you could live off that. So this film is commonly used in business schools and workshops to illustrate team dynamics and conflict resolution techniques. And this was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2007 for being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. So those are the Potent Notables. let's go to the movie overview. Now, I'd like to start this one off by saying that this is one of the few older movies that I have seen before, and it's one of my favorites. My dad had me watch it, and I believe it was the first black and white movie I ever watched, outside of being really little and watching black and white because we had a black and white TV when I was 2. So I've got a soft spot for this movie. I attempted to remain unbiased watching it, but nostalgia, it hits you whether you want it to or not, and I just think this is an amazing.
That sounds pretty biased.
All right, so let's move into the actual movie at this point. The premise here is very simple and straightforward. An 18-year-old kid is on trial for murdering his father. He doesn't come from money, so he's got a court-appointed lawyer, and it doesn't seem like much of an effort has been made in his defense. The case isn't what we're seeing, though. What we get to watch is the jury deliberations. We haven't been tainted by any of the testimony for or against the defendant. We learn it as the jurors discuss it. The movie is far more than just a peek in on jury deliberations. It's psychoanalysis of the types of people that are on juries, the people that are your peers, or so-called anyway, since it was entirely men. Another aside, this movie has always and continues to make me want to serve on a jury, and I never have. I've only ever gotten 2 summons, and both times I just called and they were like, yeah, we don't need you. Now, they didn't even have me come in. I feel like nobody ever wants to be on a jury, and I'm someone who does, and I never get picked. Go figure.
It's probably for the best.
Not even picked, but invited to potentially be picked. Maybe they could just sense my eagerness. I don't know. Anyway, like I was saying, we delve into the case, but we also dive into the motivations of all the men involved. There are a few that are somewhat dispassionately neutral, including our protagonist, played by Henry Fonda. There are a couple that aren't really taking it seriously. One, probably like me, just sort of is excited to be a part of it. And there are a couple that have allowed personal feelings to cloud their judgment. It's a wonderfully told story where people listen to each other and take the facts, consider others' perspectives. It feels very much like a story that wouldn't exist today, but thankfully it does because it has already happened, so it does exist today, but I don't think we'd make it today. It does make you wonder if common ground can be found if you just sit people in a room together without social media and just hear each other out. Now, maybe it's too late for us, but I'm still optimistic, and I think people would leave with a greater understanding of themselves and others. So it's not so much a story about one person standing against 11 others, or the beauty of the justice system, or the motivism perspectives of the people around you. I think of this movie as a celebration of decency and thought, that we can be so much greater if we just listen to each other. It may not be pretty, and you may discover things about yourself that you don't like, but the beauty is that we can have the discussion.
That is very profound.
Enough of that. Let's go to the rank.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the movie based on 10 categories: story, acting, originality, film coherence, cinematography, score/soundtrack/sound, script structure and dialogue, character relatability, production value, and my rank. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. First category is story. I gave story a 10. I think the story is excellent. There's nothing else to say about it, really. There were essentially 12 stars of this movie, and they all had uniqueness and depth, and yet the story was ostensibly about a character that only appears in the movie in the very beginning, and it never says a word. Just a masterfully told story. For acting, I gave a 9.5. I wanted so badly to give this a 10, but there are a few moments of overacting which can be a staple of the older generation of movies. It was by no means bad at all. Not even resembling bad. Just not quite perfect. Next category is originality, which I gave an 8.5. I don't think legal thriller was really new ground. However, focusing it on the jury was fascinating and original. I'm not sure how original, though. It's like I said, I haven't watched a ton of older movies. I don't know if this type of story had been told previously, but I have a feeling it wasn't super common, so I'm still confident with 8.5. Next category is film coherence, which I gave a 10. Just an expertly crafted movie. They tell the story so well that you feel like you're on the jury with them. Every piece of evidence discussed is clear to the audience and gives you a real picture of the crime, as if we had sat in court and observed it. They hint at things that will be brought up later. They never let anyone seem out of character, even for a moment. It's just brilliant. Let's go to cinematography, which I gave an 8.5. Cinematography is great. Maybe there are a few too many close-ups and indulgences in lighting to really push the mood, but I'm definitely okay with it. Next category is score/soundtrack/sound, which I gave an 8. The score was really good. It definitely placed you in the moment and helped progress the story. That being said, I did feel a little bit old, basically. For lack of a better word, it just felt a little old. It didn't have to be much, though, and it definitely was not too much, which I really appreciate. Let's go to script structure and dialogue, which I also gave a 10. I can't imagine better dialogue. I may be being a mark with this score, but I just absolutely love the way this is structured, scripted, and delivered. When the oldest man on the jury is upset with the baseball lover jurist because he walks away from him while he's talking, juror number 8 settles him and says, "He can't hear you. Never will." or the perfect psychological viewpoint that anyone who caveats or makes a point of specificity about something is usually projecting what he wants people to believe instead of what he really feels. Like the jurist that takes it the most personal of all of them says, I have no personal feelings about this. Unsolicited. He just says that. And I could go on and on. It's fantastic. So let's go to character relatability, which I also gave a 10. Well, with a great script and great acting comes great relatability, right? They're all fleshed out and they're all relatable. Even the ones that you don't want to relate to, you can certainly relate to meeting someone like them. So let's go to production value, which I gave a 7. This is a tough one because it's basically just a room the whole time. I wouldn't say the production value was super high, but it's not like I ever didn't believe they were in a jury deliberation room. So there's that. Just because a movie doesn't require high production value doesn't mean that they don't have it. Though I wouldn't say this was teeming with production value. On to the last category, which is my rank. And I feel like you probably have a sense of where this is headed, but I gave it a 10. I think it is definitely one of the best films ever made. I absolutely love this movie, and I think everybody should watch it. I'd love to see an update and have it be 12 angry people, and so that more people besides white men can relate to the film. But I don't know that it will do it justice, which is kind of funny. And yes, I know they remade it in 1997 with Jack Lemmon, and they obligingly put 2 black men on the jury, but I still think there would be some value in including the opposite sex and other ethnicities. So altogether, that puts 12 Angry Men at a 91.5, which makes it an absolute masterpiece. 1957 coming out of the gate strong. This is going to be a tough one to beat. It's sitting right between Bridge of Spies, which had a 91, and Killers of the Flower Moon, which had a 91.75, making it the 9th Best Picture nominee that I've ranked, and I've ranked 58 so far, so pretty damn good. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of my updated Best Picture series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankedpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankedpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes that were a lot longer. I've reached a unanimous verdict. Say goodbye. Shit, sorry, Antonio. I just realized that I didn't turn the light on.